Remember Empath Cyber? We broke barriers, defied the norm, and educated the gatekeepers of the digital realm.
Well, the game has changed. Meet Empath.
We're just getting started.
Of everything out there in MSP and cyber, nothing gets me more excited than Empath.
The future is Empath. Are you ready to level up?
That's right, folks. We are here live. Big news on the big show. Let's get started. Hello, friends. Uncle Marv here with another episode of the IT Business Podcast. This is the weekly live show, and it's just like no other, where we try to help IT professionals, managed service providers, computer repair shops, anybody doing IT. We try to help you run your business better, smarter, and faster. Tonight, I think the world is abuzz because I have two people on as guests that are causing a seismic shift in the channel. Alex Farling and Wes Spencer. Guys, hello.
Hey, Marv. Good to see you.
Hey.
Wes, glad that you could join us here. You are, let's see, you are in some undisclosed location?
Yes. I don't even know if you can hear me. I'm in the middle of Georgia, and my Wi-Fi is really, really bad here. But it's so good to be with you, Marv.
Well, thank you for being able to join us here, and we'll hope you can hang out as long as the Wi-Fi does. So welcome aboard. And let's see, Alex, you're in your, what is that, Star Wars in the background?
Yeah, there's a little bit of Star Wars back there. A lot of it's still in boxes, but it's a serious addiction.
That's right. It's been moving days for you. How's that going?
It has, and there's still more boxes that I'm happy with, but everything made it to Florida, most of it in one piece, and life is good.
All right. So we're here to talk about the big news and big elephants. And you guys made the announcement that you've joined forces and are part of, now I need to get the name correct because it used to be Empath Cyber. I saw that it was Empath MSP, but then I see it's just called Empath. What's the actual name and what's the actual news we got going on?
Yeah, so the company that Wes originally started was Empath Cyber, and the goal at Empath Cyber, of course, was to teach cybersecurity to MSPs. And as he and I got to talking about it, we just realized that MSPs need more education than just cybersecurity. So when I came on board, we rebranded it to just Empath. The domain is Empath MSP because obviously empath.com in this day and age is a little out of reach for a tiny little startup. But the product, of course, is still an education product, and we're working to bring education to the masses, right? Kind of bring it down to zero, let everybody really learn how to run their MSP business, whether it be cybersecurity, whether it be finance, whether it be operations, whether it be sales. All of those individual components help you kind of build out career paths and level up your team through the product that we're putting together and the courses and the educational content.
All right, Wes, let me ask you, back when you first decided to start this, what was the impetus? What got you motivated to do this?
Great question, Marv. I like to say way back in 2016 when we started Perch, here's kind of the impetus to this whole thing. I remember selling a SIM, like a detection, for those that don't know, like a security detection tool. Down market was really hard, right? This is way before MSPs had to worry much more than anything other than like antivirus and firewall, right? And here's the way things would go, Marv. We would have a MSP that reach out to us and say, "Hey, Perch, I have a bank, my one bank, and they're asking for a SIM." So I got on Google and I searched SIM for MSP, and you came up. And so let's talk. I'm like, great. And so I would go and talk to the bank. We'd have a great conversation. I could usually like one call close the bank with us and the MSP together. Great conversation. Everything's great. We go through onboarding. They get set up. Everyone's happy. And I reach out again like a month later to the MSP. I'm like, "Hey, how are things going with Perch?" I'm like, "Oh, the bank is super happy. They got the reports. Their federal regulators are very happy. Everything's great." I'm like, "Cool. Well, do you have any other opportunities for us?" And the MSP would be like, "Well, I don't know what you're talking about." I'm like, "Well, is anyone else like, you've got 60 other customers, you told me, anyone else we can talk to?" And they're like, "Well, no one's asking for Perch. No one's asking for a SIM." I'm like, "Oh, okay, I got it." As the security practitioner in me, I'm like, "We have an education problem." And so what I would tell them
We're gonna lose him.
on like a Zoom webinar with me, and I'll just talk to them about everything cyber. I won't sell it.
So Wes, I don't know if you can hear us, but you just started breaking up. So
And we could get an MSP to move on cybersecurity when they understood how important it is, and they could get their clients to understand. It was the beginning of Empath.
all right. Wes, you broke up on us a couple of times there, and you're frozen on the screen. So I'm going to give you a second to kind of refresh stuff. Alex, I'll go to you and ask the question. When did you kind of get involved here? Because you were previously someplace else.
Yeah. I was at ScalePad. Obviously, I was running Lifecycle Insights with an amazing team over there. We brought that tool to the channel, and we technically got acquired in January. We announced it, I think, in April. Wes and I had been talking probably since he first launched Empath, maybe even a little bit before. But as he got closer and closer to launching a real product, I got more and more excited about what he was building. When I go look at what we did at Lifecycle Insights, we kind of rebuilt, revamped, really changed the way that MSPs did QBRs. And that meant we had to kind of turn into an education company. So I saw the value that education could deliver to MSPs in the industry, as we taught hundreds and hundreds of MSPs how to go do QBRs that mattered to their customers. And I just got really passionate about like the impact that education can have on a lot of these guys who were very similar to me. 3-time college dropout who started an MSP kind of on accident and winds up this uneducated guy who's running a business and learning everything through the school of hard knocks. So, education became a huge passion. And as I was kind of, as we got acquired, Wes and I started having conversations about, hey, what if we turned Empath into something bigger? And it just kind of worked out. And since I stepped away from ScalePad, I've kind of shown up over here and started working with Wes.
All right, Wes, it looks like you're back. You are muted now, so unmute yourself and let's see if we can continue this. The question that I was going to ask you is, the original quest was to educate about cybersecurity. Now that it's, Empath MSP, what is the total education goal? Is it all things MSP, as our good friend Eric would say?
Yeah, it's a few different things. When we think about the MSP today, there's a lack of consistency when it comes to education, right? There's a lot. So we were just talking to Eric Woodard from ProTech out in Utah. He's an MSP that I just deeply respect. And one thing that Eric told us was, he said, when I'm onboarding new folks that I hire, I don't have consistency. He said, usually my people are not all rowing in the same direction, right? And I need help across the board, whether it's account management, whether that's VCIOs, whether that's sales and marketing types of roles. We really all need to be writing and moving in the same direction together. And so, yeah, we really are, Marv, kind of pursuing that from kind of all angles, if that makes sense.
So let me ask the question, and either one of you can answer. It seems as though education has been the big push at almost every conference. And I'll be honest, sometimes I'm okay. Other times I'm like, well, that was a waste of my time. And it seems as though we're missing the mark. Now, I did catch a little bit of your show that you guys did on Friday, I believe it was, and talking about the fact that most people, when they're educating to sell something. So what's going to be different with you guys?
You want to take that, Wes, or you want me to take it?
Go ahead, Alex, because my Wi-Fi is just so bad. I'd love for you to take
Yeah,
that.
so there's going to be two things kind of different with us. One, we don't have a product to sell other than a subscription. So once you sign up, there's no more, hey, if we teach you an extra thing, if we force you through another course, if we get you another gold star, you buy more licenses from us, right? That's just not how it works. So once a person is an Empath member, there's nothing more to be gained by us. So now all we have to do is deliver quality education that raises the bar in their MSP. If they improve their MSP by the education, it's a win, and they'll stick around, and we'll have a really good customer. But the big difference with us is that, number one, our content isn't designed to sell you something, and number two, we're building accountability into the platform. To go back to Wes's story about Eric Woodard, he hires a new employee. He has 67 different product portals that person has to log in and out of to learn the products, use the products, get comfortable in the MSP. That's 67 different universities, 67 different bits of content. No one place where he can go to say, hey, you know what? I hired Wes today, and I need to get Wes from the AT&T store kid to tier 2 engineer, and I've got 24 months to do that in. Now, I need to build a learning pathway to do that. I got to log into 67 portals, pull some content, build a spreadsheet, put it all together, and try and figure out how to build a learning pathway for somebody. That doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. It's not realistic. It's not attainable. So if we can bring the content into a centralized place and deliver learning pathways with some accountability that says, hey, Marv, when you hired me, you said, hey, Alex, you're going to put an hour a week into education. Well, now I'm going to put an hour a week in my timesheet. And the final release of Empath in early next year will actually reach back into your timesheet and read it for you and tell us how much time you put into your training. That tells you whether or not you're putting in the amount of training time that your boss thinks you should. And it also will kind of throw a red flag on your boss and say, hey, you told Alex he had to do an hour a week of training, but he's doing 38 hours a week of tickets. There's no time left for him to do training. You have an overutilized resource that's never going to get any better, that you're never going to be able to really move the needle with, right?
So let me ask this.
A combination of accountability and content that's not designed to sell something is really our hope of what changes in space.
Okay, but let me ask this. Because it's another platform, it's another place for us to go to do something. Maybe it's not selling a product, but it's another place. So what does that really gain in terms of accountability? Is it a peer group type atmosphere? Is it, another, I don't even know what to call that, but I mean,
community, I think, is the right thing to call it, right?
Okay.
It's another community. The beauty of the way that we're building it is that it will be a community of communities. So we've already talked to several vendors, and I don't know that we're at a place where we can really name any names. We've already talked to several vendors who are excited to bring their training material into the platform and include it in these learning pathways, who are excited to create mini communities inside the platform so that we can give people fewer places to go and select from not just Empath created content, but from vendor created content. So that, let's say you have a zero trust vendor, Empath can teach you what is zero trust. They can teach you what portions of a security control framework do you need to solve for with zero trust, and where does that fall in, and how does it play out? And then the vendor can come in and teach you the 301 or the 401 level call or the 301 or 401 level class that teaches you how to deploy their product in a secure, stable, and reliable way that's going to keep your customers safe.
Okay, so that sounds pretty good. Now, is there going to be some sort of standard or level by saying, hey, look, if you want to really teach your clients about this, or if you want to grow as a company, these are the levels you should be reaching? Are you going to have any of those types of things in there?
We're going to have some minimum standards and some standards that are based on size and revenue of the company and things like that. So a company with 12 employees, we typically see this, and here's where you sit. So we'll be able to give you baselines and things like that. A company your size typically has somebody who's already done a ton of training in Azure. We see that as a big gap in your organization. Is that something that you want to fill? We'll also be able to go through and say, hey, we'll be able to allow an MSP to set some goals and say, hey, 12 or 24 months from now, I want to be able to have somebody certified in this, this, and this. I'm allowing 30 minutes a week. And now if I start to build this out, what does it look like? And we'll actually be able to call them out and say, hey, from where you are to where you want to get, is it realistic in 24 months if you only do 30 minutes a week, right? You're going to need an hour and a half a week or whatever that number is. Then we'll actually be able to help MSPs build training plans specifically to get them from where they are to where MSPs who are doing more revenue, who are growing, who are above and beyond that metric, we're going to show them how to get there.
All right. So, Alex, I know that since you were without a home, technically this works for you. It gives you something to do full time. Wes, I'm gonna try to see if we can unmute you here so you can chat with us here. You're a busy man, so I know that. Actually, before I ask that question, let me ask you this: when you knew that you were going to come on the show, did any of the girls over at CyberFox say anything to you?
So I love my CyberFox crew. I hope you guys can hear me okay. It's cutting out a lot. I love my CyberFox crew. I'm still very, very tightly involved with them. And I love the journey they're going on, and I'm very excited to continue to help them. And really, Alex will tell you this. Adam and David have been mentors from the very beginning, and will continue to be mentors and advisors and Empath and where we're going. So that's the cool thing is the relationship at CyberFox is still very tight and continuing to go forward. They're just awesome folks.
Okay, because I was going to ask how much time are you going to be able to devote going back and forth and doing stuff there and putting into the Empath.
Yeah.
And there he goes.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to try turning my camera off and see if that improves quality here of audio. Maybe that'll make things better. Yeah, so no, we'll still be very, very involved with CyberFox, especially in that advisory capacity. I do a lot of things for them around strategy, things around things around product and working with we've got some really cool partnerships coming out at CyberFox. One of those, I can spill the beans a little bit, is what's happening with Fifth Wall Solutions on the cyber insurance side. That's really exciting to us. And I love speaking. I love talking to MSPs, at conferences, that sort of thing. So speaking on the privilege management and how important that is. I do a lot of those kind of things as well. So yeah, I'll still be very involved with CyberFox as things continue to go forward.
All right. I don't want to get too far away from this question. I don't know that we're going to be doing a post show here, but of course, Keith has to ask a very, targeted technical question about your platform in terms of how mobile is it, and can we view it well on mobile devices so we can train on the go?
Yeah, so that's a great question because it comes up all the time. And so the platform as it lives today is actually in a white labeled platform that has a mobile app. So today you have a full mobile app. Everything functions in the mobile app just fine. As we're doing development, the mobile app is going to be our big Q1 initiative to make sure that as we transition out of a white labeled product and into the one that we're building, that's going to have more customizable features and more of the things that MSPs are telling us that they need, more than we can get out of a white labeled app. We will go, full mobile application, and that'll continue things that we already have in the platform. Like we have private podcasts in the platform. So if you log into the platform, you can literally play a lot of the things that go on in the channels. They get ripped to audio only and turned into podcasts and things like that. But you can also watch replays of videos, educational content, all of that. You can do that in the mobile app today. But it will be coming in the mobile app that we build as we continue to move into our own platform.
All right. Now, I know you said earlier you didn't want to really talk about the vendors that have gone on board with you. I saw somewhere that there was a number somewhere in the range of 67 tools. Now, is that tools plus vendors, or tools including vendors? What is that?
That was an MSP that told us that he has 67 vendor portals that he logs into. We were at Build It in Orlando last week, an MSP, Eric Woodard, told us he had 67 portals that he has to log his customers or his employees in and out of. That's just all the individual
That
tools.
seems high.
It is, but I would argue that he's probably one of the most mature MSPs as far as solving for the entire CI or the entire CIS framework. So he is well down that rabbit hole, and that just leads to a certain number of tools that you're almost required to have.
All right. I've also seen in some phrases out there that you want to be the Switzerland of education.
Yeah. So one of the things that we've had a lot of conversations with vendors. All of them want to sponsor something, pay for something, buy some time, get in front of a community when you start to build a community. We've been very clear from the door that while everyone is welcome, Empath is not to be bought and paid for. So, there will be opportunities for vendors to come in and engage, but educational content will be strictly educational content. We're not going to let you buy advertisements or, pushy sales content or anything like that. We really have to stand by the truth of educational content for the sake of education. Too much of what we see when we go to a trade show is a thinly veiled sales pitch disguised as an education session, and that just can't be what Empath turns into. It won't be a successful business if we bow to that. So while we would like to have everybody come play, it will be put away the sales weapons and come hang out with the community and do some good and educate along the way.
So I think that, well, let's just say I've seen the attempts at the trade shows to say you're going to educate and not sell.
Yep.
But then all of a sudden it slips in there. The sale is given, or the reference to this is how we do it. And if you come on board with us, so how are you going to regulate that stuff?
That's the beauty of an education platform, right? We largely speaking, we record the content ahead of time, and we don't have to publish content that has those kinds of things. So there will be strict education standards. It will be very much policed, and to make sure that kind of content just never makes it into the platform.
All right, I just need to let audio listeners know the people watching the video will have seen that Wes has dropped off. I should let everybody know that if you joined late, Wes was somewhere in the hills of Georgia, and I know about Georgia. There are places where Wi-Fi is just horrible. My family has a Christmas vacation up there every year. I'm on a mountaintop. I tried to do a podcast up there one time using my phone, and that was not pretty. So
Trying to
Wes
get closer to Santa Claus up there on Christmas Eve.
yep.
That's awesome.
So Wes has dropped off. So if people are waiting to hear him jump back in, he is gone. So Alex,
But I hear you. Like, back to educational standards, like that is a real problem in this space. And luckily, Wes is kind of a hard ass. I'm kind of a hard ass, and we can put our foot down and make sure that the content that makes it into the platform.
Well, but it's a tough thing because the whole reason that vendors are at those shows is to get the people.
Right. Well, and they have to
keywords.
ROI a show, right? When I pay $50,000 to go to an IT Nation as a vendor, and I don't know if MSPs realize, but vendors spend $50, $75, $100,000 to go to some of these trade shows, plus all the labor for their people, all the swag they give away, all the things. These shows are expensive.
Yeah.
So there's a reason that MSPs get hounded at the end of a trade show, and if we can keep that from being the case in Empath, we can deliver education without the big cost and big expense of a trade show. Nobody has to ROI it, right? They were going to build some of these videos anyway, maybe even substandard, lower quality videos to put in their training portal. And if we can teach them how to deliver better educational content, most of the vendors that we've talked to are all on board. So not to say there won't be some learning curves and some missteps along the way. Like it's work. It's hard to change what's been this way in an industry for a long time. But I think we with Wes, we bring somebody with an impeccable reputation and the ability to go stand toe to toe with the vendors and have tough conversations with them. Everybody knows I'm really shy on opinions and don't have a lot of them. So there's an equal chance that I will go have some of those tough conversations with folks if that's what it turns into. But the vendors that we've talked to so far, and we've been cherry picking and opening this up and talking to some of our favorites, some of what we would consider to be the really good guys. But so far, they're very on board with that. They understand that logic and that mentality. And we've even told them that some of them can participate in the community as long as they toe the line and behave. But if we see sales pitches in the community, out you go. and we have to man up and actually do that. We have to stick to our guns on that, and that'll
Right.
be on us to make sure we get it right.
All right. So now if somebody goes to the website, which I should have put it here on the screen here, but it's Empath, MSP.com, which forwards right now to Empath Cyber, and you guys will get all that squared away. But when they go there, they don't see like platform tiers or join for X number of dollars a month. How is that going to work in terms of, is it something where, there's going to be a flat fee for everybody, or they're going to be tiers where I can get more access, I can do peer sessions, I get more?
There are no tiers for extra access or anything today. There probably will be in the future, but today it's a pretty simple product. It's a pretty simple offering. It's $75 for your first employee, and then about $25 an employee after that. It's
Per
a
month.
fairly affordable product. So it's priced per employee. You can go out and sign up for a free trial. If you need anything, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, and we can get you a free trial, even for a couple employees or whatever. We do weekly live streams and of course the recorded content. So we try and keep it a really simple pricing model and an affordable pricing model. Our feeling is that if education can't upskill your employees by $25 a month, we've done something wrong. The education just isn't what you need.
All right. I know you said that vendors were clamoring to hop on board and get involved. What about MSPs? I know you've got the ear to a lot of MSPs. What are they saying?
Yeah, we've got a lot that are already in the platform that are excited about it. We haven't really gone hard on the sales pitch to the MSPs yet, because we really want to build up the content to get past the hurdle. Right now we have a ton of cyber content, but not a lot of content for the sales guys, the ops guys, all those other folks. So we're pushing hard right now to create content. I just did a 5-part series on MSP sales process in the platform. So that's published and out there now. We're gonna do some stuff on account management and VCIO and those kind of things. But the platform's open and ready for MSPs. But like I said, late December we'll launch. Late this year, probably December, we'll launch a beta of the new platform, and that's the point at which we'll probably really put our foot down and do the advertising and sales pitch to try and drag folks into it. But we would rather get it right than get it out early. So we're heavy in development on getting version 2 of Empath out the door.
All right. Well, sounds all pretty straightforward. Sounds.
Yeah, we try and keep it simple, man. It's I'm a simple human, so I don't want to. If I don't understand it, nobody else is going to understand it either.
Sounds ambitious.
But if anybody
as
wants
well.
a demo of it, by all means, reach out to me on LinkedIn. We'll get you set up with a demo.
All right. So the other question is going to be, I know that, right now, the price is simple. The goal is simple. And for you, it's a little step back a little bit. What's going to happen in, I don't know, 3 to 5 years? What's the end goal for you guys down the road?
So I don't know that we know what the end goal is, but we've already had multiple folks offer to buy it from us. So this is the MSP game, right? And I hate to say it because everybody sags their head and goes, "Oh my God, I hate to hear it." But at some point, someone will come wave a check in our face so big we can't say no. That's just how these businesses operate, right? That's just how private equity works. And so it will eventually get sold. But we have some pretty lofty goals. We would like to have 100 unique educators from the community in the platform teaching courses. We'd like to have over 1,000 MSPs trained and over 100,000 hours of content streamed. So we have some pretty lofty goals as far as blowing this platform up and really turning it into something big. And then I think there are some folks out there who are trying to do education today and just don't quite have it quite right, who could bolt something like this onto some other offerings and continue to grow it. When Wes and I are just done, you get to a point where it becomes a 200, 300, 400 person organization. Not all of us are meant to run that kind of an organization.
Will you be doing things at trade shows? Like, will you be doing sessions at a show, maybe?
We're actually doing a session at IT Nation. Wes and I are doing one together at IT Nation. But we will be doing sessions at trade shows. We probably will be doing some pre-show work, pre-day workshops. And we're going to be doing some workshops around the country. We've got some vendors who have asked us, if we would come do an educational event for them. So, we may go to Chicago and meet a bunch of MSPs there, put everybody in a boardroom for a day and just teach educational content. we did this. Wes and I did this back in February with a bunch of Barry McKinley partners and prospects. And basically, what we taught was how to use cyber liability insurance and assessments to sell to MSPs. And it turned into a really, really great offering, a really, really great product. Yep, the Alex and Wes show. That is, I don't know if that's worthy. I think it should be the Wes and Alex show. He's definitely the star here. He's the show pony. But you know, we've done some of those. We've gotten really, really great, really amazing feedback. We've done a few of these smaller, really intimate events with like CyberFox and Ninja that Wes and I have done under different banners before it was public that I was coming here. But you know, I just went out and did a keynote at one for Ninja out in Austin. And these things just go so well, and MSPs walk away with so much from them that I think you'll see us do a significant number of these. So if you're in an NFL city, someplace where it's easy to fly in and out of, and we can get a reasonable number of MSPs to come together, we may be coming to your town.
Did you say NFL city?
Well, you know, the ones that have big airports and stuff.
Fort Lauderdale's got a big airport.
Okay, there you go. You want to do one in Fort Lauderdale?
And we have Lionel Messi.
What's that? Oh, that's football. That's the other football.
The other football. Yeah, he plays literally like 5 blocks from my office here.
Okay. Well, I don't have the attention span for soccer, but I mean, if you're trying to get us to do something in Fort Lauderdale, let's make it happen.
Well,
I know a bunch of MSPs who'd like to be here in like January to hang out with you. And
yeah, come on down. We'll do something here. I got a big enough space for us.
All right. There you go.
We'll do that. All right. Well, Alex, so we miss Wes. I think we've covered everything here. Did you prepare yourself? You have moved to Florida, I hear.
I have. That makes me an official Florida man, doesn't it?
So did you prepare for Florida man?
I did not.
You did not.
I did not. I failed you. I have failed you.
I'll get you. So let me ask the question, and I'll ask it in a way that you don't have to give away the location. Is it North Florida, Central Florida, South Florida?
I'm in Tampa. I've said it enough times that enough people could find me if they wanted to. But yeah,
Tampa, Florida. Tampa. Yeah. A lot of Florida man stuff happens there, by the way. Just so you know.
Tony Francisco's here, so that's like the OG Florida man.
Yeah. So a lot of stuff happens there, and I've got 2 clients over there, so we'll have to. I still want a session here in Fort Lauderdale, but I'll visit when we're
visit here. Okay. Well, my 4th day in the house, we saw a 5-foot alligator out back, and I texted Wes a picture of it, and he said, "Oh, you found the Florida state bird."
Yeah.
So
yeah, but 5 foot's pretty small.
Yeah, that's what I heard. He was like, "Did you pet it?"
Let's see if there's any Florida man stories today from Tampa. I'm looking. Well, there's a rabbit otter story.
Huh. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, but that's down here in South Florida. Yeah, Florida man recovering after being bitten by rabbit otter. Apparently, that's the big story. That's literally.
I would have thought that otters were more like squirrels and they couldn't get rabies or didn't normally carry rabies. Like squirrels and stuff don't carry it.
No.
I only know that because my fiance got bit by a squirrel.
Your fiance got bit by a squirrel.
Yeah, my dog and my mother's dog went and chased the squirrel into a corner of the fence and picked it up and carried it over and handed it to her. And she picked it up and it bit her.
Okay. Now that sounds like a Florida man story.
Yeah, except that happened in Maryland. That was just a dumb redneck story.
Randomly picks up a squirrel.
Just a dumb redneck story, man.
Yeah. All right, so I'll find a nice Florida man story and I'll post it in the show notes, folks. Right now, all I'm seeing is rabbit otter, and I don't want to read about a rabbit otter down here. So we'll do more. Let me go ahead and say thank you to some sponsors, and then we'll finish up with Alex here. I should always say that the IT Business Podcast is presented by NetAlly, your #1 ally for network diagnostic tools. netally.com. I use this pretty much every day. Actually, I'll tell a story in a minute about how I used it today at a client that wasn't even mine. Our live stream presented by Computers Done Right, a full-service IT provider offering managed services and consulting in Venice, Florida, on your side of the state west. So if you need service down there, computersdoneright.com. And our newest sponsor, Instant House Call, remote support software designed for small businesses. So if you need some tools that are easy to deploy with cross-platform compatibility, both PC and Mac, UAC compatibility, unattended remote access, and more, head over to instanthousecall.com, 15-day free trial, and you don't even have to put in your credit card. So let me see. I need to go ahead and give a shout out. I mentioned out his name earlier, but Eric Anthony over at All Things MSP. Sometimes I will just put on their show and listen as I'm getting ready for my show here. And Eric did a shout out to the show, mainly because Alex, you and Wes were here. So Eric, thank you very much for the mention. One of the things that he was doing on his show was talking about ways to support All Things MSP, but also about the fact that we as a community should be much better in supporting each other and not denigrating each other on how we run our businesses and whether or not we're really an MSP. And Eric, I appreciate those words. Of course, I get called out about that all the time as the man in the van. So I understand that a lot of people don't think that I'm an MSP. So let's see here. Oh, something else in the chat here. Don't forget about golf in Florida. So
I'm going to have to hire a golf coach because I am not qualified to golf. Golf costs me about one ball every hole.
So just get 24 balls and you'll be fine.
That's it. It's an even more expensive sport that way.
Now you can go and get the used balls out of
right.
the golf.
It's not going to matter. I'm only going to hit it once.
That's right. So we can do that. You can go golfing with me. I golf.
Nice. I'll take you up on that.
Yeah.
I'll take you up on that.
We'll do that. So Alex, I'll ask a question that's not necessarily related to what we talked about tonight, but in the time that you departed Lifecycle Insights and hopped on board with Empath, what was life like in those in-between days? I've been talking to a lot of people that have made a shift in either their business or lifestyle or something, and one of the things I've really been talking with people about is those days in between.
Yeah, I didn't really have them, so it's not really a fair question because I knew where I was going. I was already working on it. It was already something I was working on evenings and weekends anyway. So there was a few days in between where I got to really take some time off and decompress, but I didn't have the stresses or struggles that other people do when you leave a job or when you sell a company and you're like, I don't know what to do next. I've kind of dumb lucked into that my entire career, and I don't even know how. When I was 20 years old or so, 22 maybe, I was working for a company that did Dell technical support, and I was a corporate trainer, and I taught the people in Dover, Delaware to answer the phone and go, "Thank you for calling Dell technical support. This is Alex. How can I help you?" And I taught a couple thousand of those people over the matter of a few years. And one day I got called into the office and they said, "We lost the contract. All this work is going to India. As the corporate trainer, you're the first guy to go because we ain't training nobody new." And so that was how I found out I didn't have a job, working this cushy corporate education gig. And so I left there, and my mother was an AS400 programmer working at what we would now call a break fix shop in town. They had a break fix computer side of the business and a software development side of the business. I would just walk in and went, "Well, you'll never believe what happened to me today." And the guy that owned it walked by and put his keys on the counter and said, "Well, that's great. I've been thinking about retiring. Why don't you take my job?" And turned around and walked away. And I was just dumbfounded. Sure enough, he was serious. And 3 days later, I was running an IT business that I had no business running. I realized I liked it. I realized I had a knack for it. I said, "Thank you for the opportunity, but I'd like to go start my own, and I need to go wander around for 2 years and be lost and do something until my non-compete goes away." So I did. I filled vending machines and worked at a Radio Shack for 2 years. And then I bought Delaware Micro, which turned into my MSP for like $8,000 when a guy was bankrupt and getting run into the dirt. And that turned into my MSP. I ran it for 16 and a half years. We started Lifecycle Insights before I sold the MSP. So when I sold the MSP, my partners at Lifecycle were like, "Oh no, you're coming here. There's no question about it. You have to come help us, turn this thing into something." And then, ScalePad acquired us I worked with ScalePad a little bit in the transition, but before I was done there, I kind of knew where I was going again. So I've just been blessed to never really have that, except for a brief time when I was 22 and too stupid to know any better. I've never really had that time in between where it's like you sit around and wonder what life's going to be like, or worry about whether or not you're going to land somewhere. I've just been blessed to never have that experience.
So let me ask you this. When you were going through that phase where you just kept ending up in IT, because that's how I got here. I never wanted to be a tech. I thought computer geeks were just, people to make fun of because
I wanted to be a helicopter pilot, so I'm a total failure.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to fly that big orange Coast Guard helicopter and go fish people out of the ocean.
In Kodiak, Alaska, huh?
Oh, that sounded cold.
What'd you do? Watch The Guardian and get all excited?
Right.
But what was it that kept drawing you back to IT? Even though
I had a knack for it. I don't know. My mother was a programmer from the time I was in second grade. I always grew up around computers and just kind of had a knack for it. So I always found it interesting. I like solving problems. I like helping people with their problems. I think is really what kept driving me back to IT. In fact, the point at which I got tired of the MSP was when I had to be a manager and I lost the go fix somebody's computer and have their face light up and then go, "Oh my God, thank you so much." Like losing that was just totally ruined the job for me. And I really kind of hated the MSP after I got out of that engineer role where I got to go see people and shake hands and see the results of the work. So I'm not wired like a typical computer guy.
All right. We'll have to dig into more of that later. So,
we're going to need a couch for that conversation.
Now I'll see you at IT Nation. We'll have a drink.
There you go.
Do that. Yep. All right. Well, Alex, thanks for hanging out here. Thanks for letting us talk about your new venture, Empath MSP, folks. Go check it out. Empathmsp.com. The Wes and Alex Rodeo Show or Big Show.
Which one of us is there? Every rodeo has to have a clown. I'm afraid that's me, isn't it?
I don't know.
Wes isn't here to defend himself.
Yeah,
so.
He's not. Well, that's on him for driving in the mountains of Georgia.
That's it, man. That's what happens when you're too busy to ever sit still. But Marv, I appreciate you having me on. Always a pleasure. And let me know. We'll get you a free trial of Empath to let you come check it out and see what we're up to.
All right. We will do that.
All right, buddy.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for hanging out, watching the show here. And I'll have everything in the show notes. And we'll be back next week. I've got a couple of great shows lined up over the next couple of weeks. And on behalf of Wes, I say thank you. And our good friend Alex, that's going to do it, folks, for tonight. We'll see you next time.
Appreciate it.
Holla.